Welcome to Years of Flowing, a bit of a switchback green climbing track out here at Huntley. And most importantly, let's welcome back Warpath, the trek Farley that has been absent since January. So the thing with January was so many months ago, and it was a different world here in Australia with the bushfires, and where we are now, it's good to have Warpath back. I'm just sort of cruising on this bit of a flow trail, cut out by motocross riders, but works pretty well for mountain bikers. So how did Warpath get resurrected? Well, what we have is a mule foot rim, so we're still running the 27.5 by 3.8. And then we've got a Huck Norris to suit. So hopefully that'll address some of the problems that caused the rim to self-destruct in the first place. It is tubeless and has an inner liner to support that. A brand new Maxxis Minion FBR 27.5 by 3.8 in the same exo compound 3C. And it's all laced onto the original hub. So we actually didn't replace the hub with something super duper special. We just kept the original Jackalope hub that came with the bike. And of course it's still running the SRAM driver. I would like to change that in the future, but while there is still this money pit that I'm riding and some more work to do on Jaeger, we'll leave it with its good old SRAM NX1 drivetrain. So we've got some fun and games today out here at Huntley. A few single track segments I'd like to show, so let's get into it. Alright, time to enter this little bit of single track goodness, Liam's Secret Singletrack. So for the most part, being a dark green sort of cross-country trail, it gets a bit difficult because sometimes you lose the path. As you can see, it gets covered in debris a bit. Not many people know where this single track is, hence why it's Secret Singletrack. But your terrain varies from loose on hard pack to debris, and there's even a few corners which prominently feature sort of moss on them, just to make it a bit more slippery in the wet and dry. Nice variation of corners to begin with. That's to sort of warm you up. As we get to the more sandy part of the Secret Singletrack, we go through the scrub bush and have a few blind turns. So if you're trying to do this at race pace, good idea just to run this once to make sure you know where the corners are. Like this one just pops out of nowhere and then dives back down. So if you have your knee guards especially, it'll be good to protect you from the scrub. And then there's this low-hanging tree, depending on how hard you hit that corner. A bit more of a power section, this back part of the Secret Singletrack, and a few loose corners. As we start to open down a bit more, we'll get to this sort of jump in quotation marks. And then as we sweep through here, mind that little tree, and we finish. Welcome to the Red Belly Run. For what it's worth, this can be considered one of the few descents out here at Huntley. Similar to story time, we don't have much elevation to play with, but whatever we get, we'll use. So a fair few ruts cut in by motocross riders, you can hear them off in the distance. So come down here, for the most part it's quite open and flowing. And you usually spot your hazards and your corners well in advance. Just a nice, enjoyable green flow run. berms aren't super massive. There's a beeline around that tree, so don't worry. And eventually you wind down to the bottom part here where you just join back onto a fire road. But there's one tiny treat, a bit of a dessert, if you would, on this ground effect loop. So let's get to it. Alright, winding up. This is the drop-ins. So as I suggest, we're going to have 2 drops, 2 pinch climbs out. So without much talking, let's just hit it. So launch that bike down here, launch back up here, down here, come back up. And that is possibly the only time that your wheels will leave the ground in Epsom and Huntley. So until next time, keep riding and stay awesome.